Pleased to have an afternoon keynote session for the 126th anniversary event. So I'm going to turn it to Robert Hernandez to introduce our next keynote speaker.
Thank you, Alvin. I'd like to welcome Mark Werwath of Northwestern University. He's been an engineering project manager for over 15 years and has been on the board of governors for the IEEE Engineering Management Society from 2004 through 2007. Now teaching full-time at Northwestern as a full clinical professor, he is also the director of the Masters in Engineering Management program at Northwestern's McCormick School of Engineering. Holding a bachelor's in mechanical engineering from the University of Illinois, a master's of engineering management from Northwestern, and a PhD from Benedictine University in organizational development, his dissertation was on the topic of organizational antecedents to innovation and will now be delivering our keynote on crisis-driven innovation. Thank you and welcome, Mark.
Thank you. Hopefully everyone can hear me. My name is Mark Werwath. I'm the current director of the Master of Engineering Management program at Northwestern. We basically cater to experienced engineering professionals with 3 or more years experience who want to understand the essence of engineering management. The topic I'm going to be covering today is roughly in the field of innovation. I'm going to be talking about innovation during a pandemic. I'm going to try to share my screen at this point, and hopefully it'll work okay. Hopefully everyone can see my screen.
Yes, we can see, Mark.
Okay, good. Let me put it in slideshow mode.
Yep, it's good.
Okay, so let me just basically start by saying this pandemic has been a great accelerator for a lot of things, both good and bad. It's bringing the future to us faster than anyone could have imagined. Who would have thought that the modern urban office could have been made obsolete in a matter of a few weeks, a process that otherwise would have taken more than a decade and possibly several decades? Who would have thought that entire city streets and blocks would be shut down to vehicle traffic and converted to outdoor dining venues in a matter of months? If you're not familiar with this picture, it's somewhat unusual, right? This is a recent photo of smartphones hanging from a tree. The reason they are there is that Amazon drivers are dispatched based on the proximity to the fulfillment center. That distance is, of course, measured based on the latitude and longitude from their smartphones. So if their smartphones are hanging from the closest tree to the fulfillment center, they're more likely to get dispatched and they'll have more dispatches per day. This can be the difference between making money and losing money for a driver in the Amazon network. So basically by finding the closest tree, they can successfully get dispatched more often and therefore maximize their revenue. The dispatch algorithm, of course, is based on that location. So all they have to do is link their phone to the phone in the tree. The value of virtual networks has been dramatically enhanced. The value of working in a virtual setting has been dramatically increased. The knowledge worker has survived and prevailed in this very difficult time, where many other workers have suffered dramatic changes in lifestyle since the beginning of the pandemic. As you can see from here, obviously recessions occur basically every 8 to 10 years. What we've seen this year so far is more or less unprecedented in recent history. You've all heard the words unprecedented used to describe these times, but frankly, you'd have to go back nearly 90 years to find something similar. So this is not used to scare you, though some of you may wish to have been in the workplace at a different time that was more amenable to steady and predictable growth. Those days are long gone, and now is a time of rapid change, rapid evolution, and rapid innovation. But with that comes rapid decline and obsolescence of certain industries and certain businesses that frankly are not adapted to the current workplace and work environment. The market is a brutal place and you must choose to adapt or perish, and that's fundamentally the essence of my talk. It's certainly no secret that the instability and need that was created by the last cataclysmic economic event, the stock market crash of 2008, gave birth to the most groundbreaking companies and business models that we now call unicorns. A whole new breed of entrepreneurs with radical ideas were created. That chaos is what brought us Slack, Instagram, Pinterest, Cloudera, Airbnb, Venmo, Square, Uber, Yelp, WhatsApp, Groupon, and many more. And I'm sure many of you know Groupon was founded right here in the city of Chicago by a Northwestern alum. The last downturn basically brought us all these opportunities, and my premise today, my thesis, is that you will see Many more startups come from this downturn. To understand the future, I think it always helps to kind of understand the past. So let's look at companies that were founded during a recession for the last 100 years or so. GE was founded by Thomas Edison in 1892, immediately prior to the panic of 1893. During this panic, business activity dropped by nearly 40% across the nation. Nevertheless, GE became one of the original companies listed in the Dow Jones Industrial Average in 1896, where it remained for over a century. I'm sure many of you know the Hewlett-Packard story. Started in 1939, right in the middle of the Great Depression, by recent Stanford grads Bill Hewlett and David Packard. Out in California, their efforts resulted in one of the biggest powerhouses in computing, even known to this day, some 81 years later. The side story here is that they were challenged by their professor to go out with $500 during a summer and actually start a company. They started many companies, only one of which actually succeeded. And really, this one was the most technical of all the ones they started that summer. So you can see the connection to Stanford there as well. Microsoft was founded in 1975 by Bill Gates and Paul Allen at the very tail end of the 1973 recession, which was the worst recession in nearly 20 years. The IPO of Microsoft created 3 billionaires and 12,000 millionaires, which is astounding to me. I think it's an astounding number even to this day. All of these companies shown here required significant technical and managerial expertise, and despite their tremendous success, all of these companies were founded during a recession. All of these companies had tremendous positive impacts on society and have made the world a better place and created much prosperity, while creating not just tens of thousands, I would argue hundreds and hundreds of thousands of jobs. Let's dive deep into one of them that's a recent, phenomenon. The very environment we're using today, Zoom, was founded by Eric Yuan. I wanted to introduce you to Eric, the founder of the platform we've all been using now for several months, Zoom. Eric was educated in engineering in China. Eric applied 9 times for a visa to the United States and eventually studied business in the United States. Eric worked for WebEx for 14 years, from 97 to 2011, long enough to become the vice president of engineering at WebEx. His frustrations, however, with WebEx grew to the point where he left the company and founded and launched Zoom in 2012. Zoom had an average daily usage of 10 million users in December 2019, jumping to, get this, more than 300 million users. That's a 30x increase in under 90 days. Zoom's market cap has grown by 220% this year alone. The ability to be in the right place at the right time with the right solution is not a matter of luck. It takes commitment, focus, drive, and a combination of technical and business skills to truly make a positive impact on society. His mantra and obsession has been on the focus on the number 150. Why 150? Well, that's 150 milliseconds of system latency, which was very difficult for his team to consistently achieve, yet that was their goal, and they obviously achieved it. His obsession with that number became basically his ability to focus his entire organization on a system attribute that eventually helped him become a billionaire. So this list was a mere sample of what has been created during bleak and difficult times. I can also tell you I work with students all the time in the field of entrepreneurship. Many of mine from this spring decided to pursue their startup businesses rather than a traditional internship or a full-time job, even though there were such jobs and internships available. My message to you is that innovation will create the opportunity to change the world for the better and to create jobs and opportunities and solutions for a desperate and troubled world. This world is waiting on you and engineers like you to help make the change that is so obviously needed. I would argue innovation comes not from surplus, but from constraints. We're entering a time of constraints. I believe we will similarly see and experience an explosion of innovation as a result of those constraints. People innovate dramatically when their backs are up against the wall. I can tell you, as somebody who's deployed idea management systems that are open-ended, that are not focused on constraining objectives or constraints within the organization. If indeed they're just focused on, hey, what's your best idea today? I believe you will find it to be of little use. Your idea management systems must be focused on constraints, and that's what I learned by deploying several over my career.